What is going on, guys? It's Harry from Whipped Cream Sounds, and today's video we're going to be going over how 53 Thieves make their chords inside Serum. So we're going to be remaking their track What You Do To Me, and I've been working pretty hard on this, so yeah, let's just take a listen to it, and then we're going to get on to the Serum patch for the chords. So we're going to be making these chords from this patch today, and as you can see, we've got some stuff on the channel already. We're just going to turn all that off and just have a listen to the chords and how they sound on their own. It's a really nice kind of like sine tone sound, and that's what we're going to be working on today. Just quickly before we start, there is a full tutorial over on the website that goes over all the chord theory behind this track with nice little neat diagrams and everything that can be used alongside this. Also, there is a free download of this particular patch and the MIDI for this session as well that was used in it. Also, if you do want a future video dissecting the drums and the bass and everything else, please let me know, and the bass will actually be included in one of these Serum packs that I'm working on. It's probably not done yet, it's probably not done by the time of this video, but if it is done, it'll be in the description below, so if you're from the future, then yeah, go have a look down there. Okay, so we've initialized the preset. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this sub oscillator, and we're going to click the triangle. We're going to take it down an octave because we want it to be in the low register, because we're going to be doing some cool pitch modulation later. Then we're going to take the level all the way down of this triangle, and we're going to take it to around 4% because we just want this sitting on top of the sound to give it a little bit of extra height and just a bit of extra presence. For the purposes of hearing it, I'm just going to turn it up an octave, and then later on in the tutorial, once we've done the pitch modulation, we're going to turn everything down an octave. And as you can hear from that, it's got a really nice kind of high tone to it, kind of video gamey, and like really, really low on everything else. It'll sound really cool. You'll listen in a bit. Anyway, let's go on to the noise oscillator. We want to go into analog and click organ noise. Then we want to click this little thing here to go across the keys, because that's what we're doing. That's what the sound entails. Then we're going to go ahead and hit the pitch up to 12 just so we get a higher amount of noise in the sound, and we're going to turn the level all the way down because we're going to do some modulation on that later, but you should have something that sounds like this. Just a really nice textured white noise just to go underneath it. Then we're going to move on to oscillator A, and we're going to choose analog BD sine, which I've just so cleverly done earlier for you. Analog BD sine is absolutely fine for this patch, but if you do have hardware synths and have different sine waves from those hardware synths, for instance, I was using a Juno 60 sine on this and it sounded way better, then I would recommend using that. We're going to take the level to around halfway, and then we're also going to take this random phase down to 0 just so it plays more consistently and doesn't, you know, it just plays more consistently basically. So now we've got that all set up, let's move on to the filter, and for the filter we're just literally using an MG Low 6, and we're going to send everything through it, and then we're literally just going to pop it back to around 185 hertz, turn the resonance all the way down, then we're going to put the fat all the way up as well. So now we've done the oscillators and the filter, let's move on to the envelopes. And for the envelope, the first one is going to be 168 milliseconds on the attack. We're going to pull this little ball thing here as well, and we're just going to push that up so it kind of like rises a bit less linear, if you get what I mean. Yeah, just pull it up like that, it sounds cooler, trust me. Then we're going to go over to the decay, and we're going to hit 824 milliseconds, and we're also going to go on the release to around 324 milliseconds as well. Now this is the envelope for our amp, and that's just going to make it sound like this. And as you can hear, it's just got a little bit of a rise to it, not too much, but it's not playing instantly when we hit the keys. Now the next envelope is going to be cool. We're actually going to set up some pitch modulation on this envelope, and to do so we're going to set this attack to 113 milliseconds, and we're also going to do the kind of like arc thing here. We're just going to arc it up around there-ish. We're going to leave the decay the exact same, and we're going to put the release at around 205 milliseconds, and then we're going to pull this arc thing all the way up to the top. Now what that does is that means because we're applying this to the global pitch, it won't go down, it won't go woo, it will just go really quickly, so you won't notice it at the end of every single note that you play. Now with the envelope 2, we're going to go over to the matrix and we're going to click envelope 2 as the source, and then we're going to go to the destination and we're going to click global and master tune. Then we're going to double click this thing and click 12 semitones in there. Hit enter, and we should have a nice envelope that ramps up 12 semitones. If you're using the percent slider, it's around 9%. Let's have a listen to how that sounds. And as you can hear, it's way too high at the moment. So what we need to do, like I said, is go down and turn the octaves back down to 1 over here. So octave on the 1, -1, and -1 on analog BD sine, as well as the triangle. Now let's take a listen, and it ramps up. And we've already got something that is sounding absolutely wicked already. It's sounding very warm, analog, nice, beautiful, everything you want. But there are a few things we can do to make it sound even better. So let's go over them. So let's move on to the third envelope. And for the third envelope, you're gonna pop 275 milliseconds of attack. You're gonna grab this little ball thing here, and then you're gonna pop it up to around there-ish. We're going to put the decay at 1.29 seconds, and we're also going to put the release at, we're just going to leave the release where it is. Now this envelope is going to be used to control the organ noise, so just grab envelope 3 and pop it on the level there. Now you want the organ noise to be all the way down, and then you want this to only come up very slightly to around there, just so we're getting a little bit of texture in the sound. And as you can hear, it's just adding a little bit of texture to it. So we just want 20% on that slider there around. So yeah, 21 will do. Now the next things we're gonna go over are the LFOs. And for LFO 1, we're gonna be using this to control the fine pitch here. So we're gonna be using a pretty crazy shape, which is one I have saved in my own user presets. I've called it Floomy Woomy. No idea why. I probably was just designing some flume stuff. But if you want to take a screenshot of this or pause the video right now to create a shape that is similar to this shape, then do that now. So once you've got that shape set up, you're basically going to want to hit trigger, and you're also going to want to put it down to a half beat. You're going to leave everything else the same, and then you're going to grab this LFO and you're going to pop it on the fine tune over here. Once you've got it on the fine tune, we're just going to go ahead and pull that into around 20-ish. Yeah, that'll do. And what this is going to do is it's going to control the fine tune and just make it sound a bit detuned and a little bit more interesting than it currently is. Then moving on to LFO2, we're going to be using LFO2 kind of as like a tremolo thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the exact same shape, but we're just going to pull these in. So we've got a kind of curved pyramid ramping up and ramping down. Then we're going to turn the triplet mode on, and we're going to go for an 8th triplet. And to use this LFO, we're going to grab these and pop them on our sub oscillator and our main oscillator here, oscillator A. Once we've popped them on there, we're going to want to pull this back a lot, so just a little bit above that white dot. Let's go for around an extra, let's go for 8. And then we're going to pull this one down a lot, and we're literally going to go so small on this. We're going to go probably around 4. And what this is going to do is just going to add some movement to the sound. It's going to sound like it's ducking in and out of the way, kind of like modulating the volume a bit, and it just, yeah, it just makes it sound cool. Let's have a listen. Now, where this sound really comes alive is the effects. So if we go over to the effects tab, the first thing we're going to be using is distortion. On the distortion unit, we're going to click it and go to soft clip. Soft clip is absolutely fantastic. I love it in Xfer Serum. I love it in any form. Soft clipping is just great for warming up sounds, and it just makes things sound really analog and really nice. If you don't know what soft clipping is, you can go over to the website. I'll leave a thing in the description for the article that I've written, which is all about soft clipping. Tells you exactly what it is, how it works, what its uses are, what you can use it on in your mixes and sound design to make your music as a result sound cooler. So if you want to go check that out, I'll pop it in the description. It will probably be called soft clipping article or something like that. On the soft clip effect, we're going to go over to the drive and we're going to pop it up to 30%. And we're just going to leave all that stuff the same, just leave that as off. Then we're going to get the mix and we're going to dial it back to around 21%, maybe. Now let's go for 25. And that's it for soft clipping. It's a really subtle effect. Just, yeah, let's take a listen. Now the next one you can see as I preemptively clicked is chorus, and chorus makes up a lot of this sound's character. For the chorus, we're gonna go to 0.16 Hertz on the chorus rate, and we're going to take the first delay back to around here, which is 2.5 milliseconds. Then we're going to pop up13 and we're going to put delay 2 to around 7 milliseconds, and we're going to take the depth all the way back to around 13.1 milliseconds. We're also going to get this low pass filter here, and we're going to take it back just slightly past that little white dot in the middle, and we're going to put the mix up here just slightly past that white dot in the middle. Now let's take a listen with the chorus on. And as you can hear with the chorus, like, it really makes up a lot of that sound that we want and character, but it adds a little bit too much stereo width, which we're going to go on to later on with some stereo widening plugins to kind of make it fit the style of this track. Now the next effect is the compressor, and we're just going to ignore all this stuff here, and we're going to go straight to OTT, our favorite. And we're going to bring back the highs to around 5%-ish. And then we're going to bring the mids to 122%. 24 will do. And we're going to bring the lows just slightly above those mids around there. We're also going to want to put this mix knob back to just behind that white dot in the middle, around 34%. And what this is going to do, it's just going to add a nice kind of layer to the sound that just gives it a little bit of extra height and presence. And as you can hear, it just makes things stand out a little bit nicer, not too overpowering, because this sound needs to be very simple. The next effect is reverb, and for the reverb we're going to be using a plate reverb because it's quite a vintage sound and we want it to sound, yeah, fairly vintage, so we use a plate reverb. Now we're going to go to the size of the reverb and we're going to click 44% in there. Type 44%, sorry, you can't click 44. Anyway, we're going to take the pre-delay back to around half here between those white dots. We're going to take the low cut up to around 18% just to remove some of the low end information from the reverb and not make things muddy. Then we're also going to take this high cut back to nothing. Don't want the high cut, we want the highs in this sound. We're going to take the damp all the way down to 0 and we're going to put the width up to around 70%. We're going to leave the mix the exact same, and we're just going to take another listen with the reverb. And as you can hear with the reverb on, it just gives it a little bit of space and it just sounds cool. Now, the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to put EQ on, because we want a sub bass underneath this when we're using it, because after all, they are keys. So we're going to want to remove some of the low end information that we've added throughout this. So to do that, we're going to use this EQ, click that little low cut icon down there, take the Q back slightly so it goes down and doesn't have that annoying bump. And we're going to leave it at around 155 Hertz just to remove some of those lows. And as you can hear, it just really nicely cleans up that sound. So if you're using a sub bass underneath this key sound, then it won't interfere with your sub bass. If you're not using a sub bass, then don't bother with the EQ, but it makes it nice and clean for that purpose. So for the next step in this, we're going to take it outside of Serum, and we're going to go over these different effects that I've put down here. First being the EQ8. Now for the EQ8, I took the first filter and I just applied a low cut on that, and then went to 116 Hertz and I popped the Q to 0.93. This is just removing some of those lows again and just making it a little bit cleaner. Then I went to the next, created a bell filter, and we went to 1.94 kilohertz and we took it back around minus 2.6 decibels, just a nice little dip, leaving the Q the exact same. Then we took a high shelf and we went to 4.95 kilohertz and went minus 4.09 decibels and left the Q the exact same as well. It just makes it sound a little bit more underwater and just, yeah, a little bit better with everything else. The next effect was a utility, and the sound had a lot of width inside Serum, and that was because we added the chorus and the reverb. Now I still wanted the reverb to like be wide and the chorus to add the widening, but in this particular instance the hats and things were getting in the way of the width of this sound. So I made a decision to basically reduce the width of this sound to allow space for the hats and things that were a bit more important. Now to do this, I literally opened up a utility plugin. There are loads of other plugins in different DAWs where you can change the width. FL Studio has one, Logic has one, Cubase, they all have one. So just open up your particular one and just take the width back a little bit. And as you can hear, it just really pulls that sound in a different dimension, and it still has the chorus on it and everything. It still sounds cool. The next thing I put on this sound was Baby Audio's Smooth Operator. This is a fantastic resonance suppressor compressor thing that basically just aims to remove resonances from your sound, unwanted resonances, kind of like Soothe does and kind of like Goldfloss does. Now the Sine sound is a very resonant sound, so I wanted to remove some of these resonances here, and as you can see, I've chosen to go around the 2 kilohertz mark and removed about 16 decibels here. I've also put the threshold to minus 34.2 to, you know, suppress the resonance and get the compressor working. And I've also attenuated the highs a little bit. It just makes it sound a little bit cleaner, and the little change in output there was because I put the output up slightly just to increase the volume again. So we're going to put that up to around 90 just to get this a little bit higher in volume. Then next I used another smooth operator because I wanted this sound to be smooth as hell. And I used this as a sidechain compressor with the snare as the input because they were kind of clashing. If you have a listen to the snare with this, And as you can hear, that smooth operator is just working to kind of get those highs out of the way every time the snare hits. We still have the highs in the sound and they come through when the snare's not hitting, but it gives the snare a bit more presence and just a little bit more body. The next thing I did was sidechain this to the kick as well, so it gives it a kind of nice rhythm and it kind of pumps out of the way and moves with that swingy drum beat. Now, a little bonus tip for you, if you go down to the description below, you can head over to our free download section over on the website, where you'll find this MIDI completely free, along with the preset that has been provided today, so you can follow along with this tutorial as you wish. Like I said, down there's also going to be a link to a full tutorial with all the chords and the theory explaining it, so if you want to learn that yourself as well, you can go do that over on our website too. While you're down there, be sure to leave the video a like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and in the comments let me know what you want me to do next. If you want another dissection of this with the drums and the bass and everything else, then let me know. The bass and everything, they're going to come as part of a Serum pack. I don't know when it's going to be done. It's going to be done at some point. And the drums here as well, some of them are from my lo-fi pack, which is coming very soon, and my other packs that I'm working on as well. So yeah, lots of things I'm working on, which is cool. You can look forward to those. Some of them will be free, some of them will be paid. Just, yeah, stick around in the free download section, hit the subscribe button so you know when new updates are coming. And that is me done for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.